Thank you for joining us. I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Maxine Stryker. BGE representatives argued the rate hikes are necessary to maintain aging infrastructure, among other factors.
Yeah, they say they do feel for Maryland residents, but most of the increased costs, according to BGE, is beyond their control.
We know that customers in this room today and customers watching at home are really struggling to afford the high bills that they've received. So I want to spend just a few moments on how we got to this point.
As Jeff Abel is hearing from residents struggling to pay their bills.
We begin with Jessica Babb and the fallout from the City Council meeting. Jessica?
As BGE's rates continue to increase as they pay for new infrastructure projects, Baltimore City Council members are pushing back, pointing to BGE's profits, saying unreasonable costs are being passed on to consumers. But BGE officials tonight pushing back on that claim, arguing they're doing what they need to do to maintain a safe and reliable system. With chairs filled and mics on, Baltimore City Council members—
Your CEO is not here.
Yeah, but we are here.
—are trying to get to the bottom of your high BGE bills.
We know that customers in this room today and customers watching at home are really struggling to afford the high bills that they've received. And I know the frustration is real.
What's going to happen, or what may happen, to those families that just cannot afford to pay these high rates? And I'm going to be frankly honest with you. I can't even afford to pay the damn rates. It's expensive.
Baltimore City Council President Zeke Cohen says he's pushing for transparency.
Enough is enough. We want the Public Service Commission to go back to the table and end the multi-year rate case that BGE got. It's simply, they cannot continue to advance their gas line build-out on the backs of our residents.
Council members were turning up the heat, criticizing the multi-year rate plan. It was approved by the Maryland Public Service Commission, allowing BGE to increase their distribution rates to replace aging infrastructure to comply with state and federal policies. An increased cost customers are seeing on their bills.
We focus on safety.
But with distribution rates nearly tripling since 2010, council members like Yitzi Schleifer.
You look at their spending and the decisions that they are making, it is not based off of public safety, it's based off of profits.
And critics like David Lapp with the Office of the People's Counsel say it gives BGE a blank check to spend.
Utilities make money by spending more customer money on their distribution service.
With BGE pulling in $527 million in net income last year.
So in essence, they are incentivized to spend more of the ratepayers' money for repairs and for utility gas line build out.
That's right. I mean, the utilities would have you believe that all these investments are necessary for safe and reliable service. The question is whether it's safe and reliable service at the lowest possible cost.
And while BGE points to colder weather, the higher cost of energy, and state climate policies to explain the higher bills, with residents across the board struggling to keep the heat on.
What are you all prepared to do to provide rate relief to your customers?
To deliver the very best service at the lowest price.
Over a minutes-long response.
Extreme weather, but we've got higher supply prices that we don't control. We've got policy objectives for the state of Maryland.
BGE officials didn't directly answer the question.
That's not the question that I asked. What I asked was, what are you prepared to do for your customers and our residents to support rate relief? And I didn't hear any answers.
And while BGE is ultimately regulated by the state.
When you say you want to hold the utility accountable, is the city considering any legislation dealing with the matter, or could this potentially impact any business the city does with BGE?
Well, I'll just say that all options are on the table.
And while any action the Baltimore City Council can take will be limited, it's not clear what their plan of action moving forward is just yet.
And Jessica, you mentioned that BGE officials say state climate policies are part of the problem. What impact does the state's energy crisis have on BGE bills?
So So when I talked with BGE officials earlier today, they say the rising cost of electricity, the supply of that electricity, is directly tied to the state not generating enough electricity in-state. As we've been reporting, Maryland imports about 40% of its energy already from other states, causing a big problem. Take a listen.
You know, if you think about our state policy objectives, so much is tied to electrification, right? The state has aggressive climate goals, decarbonization goals. They want to push more vehicle usage to electric vehicles. They want to push more home energy use to electric rather than fossil fuels. That's going to add to the load. Data centers and other large facilities could add to the load. So there really is. I don't think it's an overstatement to call it the beginnings of a supply crisis in the electric supply.
And they also mentioned that some of their infrastructure projects are directly related to the electrification that's happening right now across the state. And I also asked if the state generated more energy, if some of these energy bills that customers are seeing would go down and be smaller. And they said absolutely. It's a simple case of supply and demand. Live in Baltimore, Jessica Babb, Fox 45 News.
I'm Kai Jackson. Thank you for watching. Here's another video to watch. Also, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel.